No. You rise to the occasion. Experience comes with age, and I've been hearing a lot about age, you know.
Now, and I finally get to check that off my list, and I knew this was going to be a big fight. The build up for this is huge. The press conferences are entertaining. It's a spectacle.
With only 17 days remaining until the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul clash, tension is skyrocketing. Both fighters are pushing themselves to the limit. Joshua perfecting his power, timing, and footwork, while Jake endures grueling conditioning to stay competitive. Every training session now carries immense importance. And with each passing day, the anticipation and intensity surrounding the showdown continue to build.
And I have nothing but love for him, but I'm going to knock him out respectfully, and you know, we can hug and kiss afterwards, specifically kiss.
Anthony Joshua's training camp ahead of. Anthony Joshua's fight with Jake Paul is already in full swing, marking a significant shift as he switched training camps. Having not fought since the September 2024 knockout loss and subsequent elbow surgery, this camp carries extra urgency. Joshua is reportedly focusing on conditioning, technique drills, footwork, and ringcraft with Usyk's coaches, aiming to enter the fight sharper and smarter. He admits the change has been substantial. Training under a new camp has pushed him harder physically and mentally. Joshua is using this period to rebuild confidence, refine his strengths, and prepare meticulously for what could be a high-stakes comeback. Anthony Joshua starts his mornings with intense ice baths to enhance recovery and strengthen his body during training camp. The freezing water reduces inflammation, keeps his muscles fresh, and builds mental toughness. Joshua believes these cold therapy sessions sharpen his focus and prime him for grueling workouts later in the day. This disciplined routine highlights his dedication to staying strong, resilient, and fully prepared for the upcoming fight. Anthony Joshua trains in an environment defined by discipline, precision, and constant improvement. Surrounded by seasoned coaches who emphasize sharp technique and strategic awareness, he approaches every session with intent. His drills focus on refining offensive bursts while developing a defense that reacts instinctively. Coaches closely monitor his rhythm, footwork, and punch variety, pushing him to break old habits and evolve. Ringside observers note his serious response to every correction. Rather than relying solely on natural strength, Joshua works to deepen his understanding of angles, distance, and counters. His movements become calculated, seamlessly shifting between defensive slips and crisp counterpunch combinations. This intense camp environment fosters both physical and mental growth, sharpening his instincts and preparing him for the unpredictable challenges that define elite heavyweight boxing.
You know, Simon, I think he's at that stage of his career where he's trying to rediscover a little bit of that confidence. He's gone to Alexander Usyk, where we're hearing reports he's out there training with Usyk and the team, trying to pick up something, trying to rediscover something.
That's very strange, Paul.
It is, but it's not unheard of. I've heard of a lot of fighters doing that. You see fighters, obviously, it's the old Rocky movies years ago, but you see a fighter losing to someone, all of a sudden they go in the camp and they start training and do a little bits together and become friends or whatever else. I think it'll do Joshua no harm traveling, but as you say, he's a little bit long in the tooth and he's a bit on the back nine rather than the front nine, where that experience would really come into play. But I'm just looking at his record here. He obviously, after the Usyk fight, he'd come back and he had 3 fights and then the Ngannou demolition
Well, yeah,
job.
Jermaine Franklin, he had Robert Helene, he had Otto Wallin, and he smashed Ngannou, which everyone went hallelujah for, right?
Yeah, but he's obviously not in like the box rec rankings to see where he is. But the Dubois fight is a fight where what you've just said then, Spencer, like match him right. I felt he was matched right with Dubois. That's just my opinion.
Just fought the
obviously
wrong fight.
I was wrong on that and I was proved wrong, but I felt like Joshua
would have and should have came through that, but he obviously didn't. So therefore, it's back to the drawing board, and where do you go from there? What do you do from there? Does he keep the same team around him? Does he go and find someone new and try and adapt and add to his repertoire already? And this move at Usyk, I don't know what it'll be, but if he's fighting before Christmas, then he needs to get in shape quick, because there's only 8 weeks to go, let's say.
Well, my understanding, he's in camp, he's in shape, and just looking to getting out and get back to winning ways is my understanding. That's why they're talking about 8-rounders.
Yeah.
He wants to sort of go under the radar a little bit, and it's difficult for someone like Anthony Joshua because he's such
Very
a
much so.
commercial commodity.
He's always been in shape all the time, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He always will be in shape. He's never, ever not been.
But it's not about his
dedicated.
physical shape, is it? No one's ever questioned his physical state. Zach, when I was talking about Anthony Joshua, and I know that the president of his fan club is here in Spencer, but I talked about the PTSD issue post various fights, whether it be the Alexander Usyk or the Daniel Dubois situation. But prior to Daniel Dubois, I always maintained that I felt that despite the performance against Jermaine Franklin, despite the performance against Robert Helenius, which had been blasted out by Deontay Wilder.
Eddie Hearn views Joshua's upcoming fight with gravity, knowing its outcome could shape the latter half of his career. While defeat would raise serious questions about his future, Hearn remains confident. Joshua's months of disciplined preparation, from conditioning to sparring, have sharpened his focus and rebuilt his drive. Reports from training reveal a composed, determined fighter embracing the challenge. Hearn believes this mindset and work ethic will enable Joshua to rise and deliver when it matters most.
Saying that you and AJ must retire if Jake Paul wins on December 19th. Stand by that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I suppose so. Shit, yeah. Look, I don't see a world where Jake Paul wins this fight. I know that boxing's boxing. I mean, what is it? Roy Jones came out this morning and said Jake Paul can win this fight.
Teddy Atlas as well.
Teddy Atlas. Okay. All right, now I'm a bit worried. I won't retire. AJ should retire if he loses. No.
Sorry.
No, I see AJ winning this fight with ease, comprehensively, destructively, violently, and I don't see a world where Jake Paul is competitive in the fight, let alone win the fight. But luckily, AJ's not preparing in a way that he just thinks it's a joke. He's preparing for Jake Paul like he's a world title contender. Yes, it's been a little bit of a shorter camp. Yes, we've got to make weight this time around, but it doesn't matter. We should just slide through this guy and bash him up and beat him up, and we should do it early doors.
Just lastly, you said as well that you told Nikisa that he was weighing 290 when you were negotiating. What impact did that have? Did you feel like they would have gone even lower if they knew he was weighing 265?
I don't think that when you're negotiating on a weight, there's not one promoter in the world that would tell the truth about what the weight of the fighter was, and Nikisa knows that anyway. So it wasn't like we were being clever, but they wanted him to come to 240. And it's just, don't forget, AJ's never made weight before. So all of a sudden, he's tried. He'd been in camp for, 2 or 3 weeks, and he's probably sitting at, 260, 265. And it's like, you got to make 245.
A key reason Joshua's confidence remains high is the caliber of sparring partners in his camp. Footage shows him exchanging blows with top-level heavyweights, each bringing unique challenges. Jared Anderson, famed for his explosive power and relentless pace, forces Joshua to remain sharp defensively, punishing any hesitation and keeping him alert from bell to bell. Frank Sanchez presents a contrasting test with his technical, fluid style, slipping punches, maintaining balance, and moving gracefully around the ring. Facing Sanchez requires Joshua to think quickly, adjust footwork, and engage strategically. These sparring sessions go beyond physical conditioning. They simulate elite-level competition, exposing Joshua to pressure scenarios Jake Paul has likely never encountered. Each partner's distinctive style compels him to refine timing, sharpen accuracy, and master the ability to pivot tactics mid-fight. By working with such varied opponents, Joshua builds a complete, adaptable approach designed to handle multiple challenges, ensuring he enters the ring ready for anything the Paul fight may present.
Jake Paul is being dwarfed by these way bigger heavyweights like Jared Anderson, Frank Sanchez, and Lawrence Okolie. Okolie is like 6'4.5", 6'5", and these guys are like 6'3", 6'4", probably. So now Jake Paul is the one that's smaller. So first of all, I will give credit to Jake Paul. Clearly, he's a person who is taking his career seriously. These are quality sparring. I mean, a real boxer, because people say he's not a real boxer, but a real boxer would be using the same guys in their sparring camp. In fact, I just told you Joshua used Lawrence Okoli. I don't know if he sparred with Anderson or Frank Sanchez, but these are all regular ranked heavyweights. So credit to Jake Paul for that. And I mean, he's going to need it. Joshua is a different breed to, like, you know, a Mike Perry when it comes to boxing. Different frame, different size. In case you didn't believe me, right? Jake Paul, this is what MVP Promotions posted. So Jake Paul top sparring, right? Heavyweights. And here's some pictures of Joshua with Lawrence Okoli. And again, Joshua, a big dude, but you see Lawrence Okoli, and he probably was cruiserweight back then. I mean, I don't know exactly when this picture was taken, but he's only like an inch shorter than Anthony Joshua. And now, as he's moved up to the full heavyweight, he has filled out more. You see, he looks even bigger than when he was a cruiserweight. Now, I got to research it, but I want to say I thought Lawrence Okoli.
Tony Jeff examines Jake Paul's boxing journey as someone who has observed a steady growth over several years. He notes that Jake started with limited skills, but gradually embraced the dedication required to become competent. Jeff highlights noticeable improvements in fundamentals, punch mechanics, distance awareness, and training discipline. He credits Jake for seeking guidance from experienced coaches and pushing himself well beyond what many expected from a newcomer. According to Jeff, anyone claiming Jake has evolved simply hasn't witnessed the clear progression he has made in the sport.
They get older. Now, a problem for Anthony Joshua is his activity. He's only fought twice in 2 years, and one of them, he got knocked out off Daniel Dubois. That was his last fight, and a lot of people say you can only judge a fighter's quality from their last fight. And then the fight before that was a win, but it was a win against Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, if you know, he was the UFC heavyweight who's not a real boxer, and he only had one fight before that boxing fight, what he lost as well. So that's his activity in boxing. Now, Jake Paul, on the other hand, looking at his box rec, he's had 6 fights since 2023. And one of them was against Mike Tyson. But we all seen what happened in that fight. Mike Tyson was well past his prime. Where Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, but I'm not going to say he's coming into his prime because he had some great wins earlier on in his career before he lost to Usyk twice. And by the way, when he did lose to Usyk, the last one was a split decision. It was a pretty close fight. So now this fight is matched. And I just want to look at the tail of the tape. Now, looking at the age difference, we've got 28 years old compared to 36 years old. So I guess the advantage there goes a little bit towards Jake Paul. 28-year-old is better than a 36-year-old. But that being said, we've got talking about experience and everything else. What comes with being 36 years old at Anthony Joshua's level. And then, like I mentioned, the heavyweights kind of seem to prime a little bit older. Now, come down to the height and the weight. This is the big one. 6'1" versus 6'6". 200 pound versus 252 pound. We got a 252 pounder in Anthony Joshua. The reach advantage is a lot, which we would expect. Amateur fights, we can see that Jake's only had one, where AJ's had 43, but 43 of them are including at the highest level, Olympic level. And yes, he won the Olympic bloody gold medal, if I don't need to remind you. Then the pro record, Jake Paul has had 13 fights, lost 1. AJ has had 28 fights and he's lost 4 with 25 KOs. And the one person that Jake Paul lost to was Tommy Fury. Now, can we compare Tommy Fury with Anthony Joshua? Not at all. It's like night and day. So now I'm going to talk about the rules of this fight, and I'll give you my prediction, which is going to shock a lot of people after this. So, what are the rules? The bout will take place at a heavyweight, obviously. It's going to be 8 3-minute rounds. You might think, well, that's better for Jake Paul, and I'm thinking, not really. It's better for Anthony Joshua because he's just going to go all out for them 8 3-minute rounds. And imagine that, Anthony Joshua blasting at you, 6'6", whatever he is, 250 pounds, throwing big bombs at you. Anyway, both fighters will be using 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. Why have they got that on there? It says both fighters will be wearing 10-ounce gloves for the duration of the contest. What do you expect? Them to take them off halfway through?
Professional fighter Lamont Roach regards Jake Paul's decision as both bold and extremely risky. From a competitive standpoint, he understands the appeal. Jake has built his career on defying expectations and surprising the public. Roach emphasizes the financial significance of the matchup, offering Jake an opportunity few fighters encounter so early in their careers. He also notes the psychological aspect. Jake thrives on shock value, and facing a physically imposing opponent like Joshua fits that persona. However, Roach stresses that courage alone isn't enough. Joshua's heavyweight power demands more than confidence. While he acknowledges Jake's determination, Roach warns that this step carries serious risks that cannot be ignored, regardless of the financial rewards, making preparation, strategy, and respect for the opponent essential in such a high-stakes scenario.
Excuse me. My first thoughts was, this guy's crazy. Not gonna lie. But I get it. Coming from a guy who's not a true traditional boxer, and to be able to have a position where he can fight a former unified world champion, former Olympic gold medalist, and to do it on such a stage where Anthony Joshua was a superstar as well. I mean, like, he sold out the O2, twice.
Absolutely.
I think. So, I think Jake is setting himself up for, a huge spectacle, and which is, kind of smart. If you're going to go big, why not go to the highest of the mountain? Why not? And I get it. That's what you call business right there. And I seen a lot of guys calling him out, from like Gabe to, other guys who are boxers. Yeah, like guys who actually beat him. But why would he settle for those guys when he could fight Anthony Joshua? So I think that's, I think that's smart. I think that's super smart.
Smart is one thing. What do you think happens in the ring, though, champ?
I think he gets hurt, for sure. I think he gets obliterated. Something close to like Francis Ngannou. I think something like that happens, and it's going to be bad for him. But there will be a lot of.
Chael Sonnen assesses Jake Paul's situation with blunt honesty, questioning whether his choice reflects admirable courage or a leap beyond reason. Sonnen respects Jake's willingness to face formidable opponents, but challenges the logic of taking on someone with Joshua's size and knockout power. He emphasizes that bravery can turn harmful if preparation doesn't match the challenge. While risk-taking is commendable, taking uninformed risks in a sport where a single moment can change everything is dangerously reckless.
The Francis Ngannou performance. What if Jake makes it 5 rounds, 6 rounds? What if Jake made it to the distance? What if Jake won a round? Now, it's very hard to believe. It's very hard to imagine. I think it's the big struggle with this fight. I cannot, off the top of my head, produce a fight for you in any form of unarmed combat that drew, that was exciting, where the audience did not have a reasonable expectation, an expectation to some degree that, well, if he does this or that, there is a way for this guy to win. And that's usually pretty easy to do because nobody knows anything about fighting. Nobody watching this right now, none of you, my millions of viewers, not one of you has ever boxed. Not one of you knows someone in the family. Well, my dad was a boxer. My uncle was a boxer. No, you don't. Not only are you not a boxer, you don't even know of a boxer. Now, I only share that because when I come out and say nobody knows what they're talking about when they're talking about boxing, like, it's not meant to be an insult. You don't know anything about boxing. It was never taught to you. None of you in recess boxed. None of your junior highs, your high schools, your colleges, your community colleges offered boxing. Your hometown didn't have a boxing gym. Now really think about that. Because as much as you love the sport and as much as you think that you understand it, not only do you not understand it, you can't even have a conversation with other people who do because they don't understand it. So what is a win? I think that time counts. I think that time is a very big deal. You're in that little bitty ring, and I know a guy can run backwards, but running backwards is not illegal in boxing.
Angelo and Josh steer the discussion back to boxing fundamentals, highlighting that the sport is structured through years of disciplined competition and exposure to elite opponents. They note that Jake Paul is still in a developing stage, while fighters like Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder exist in a tier defined by raw knockout power, refined technique, and extensive experience at the highest level. According to them, Joshua belongs to a class of athletes whose very presence can shift the dynamics of a fight. With precise timing and explosive strength, such fighters can end a bout in an instant, even when the opponent seems in control.
I just don't think that he could compete at the highest level, and I don't think he'd beat the top 5, top 6 guys. But that in that weight class is where he'd be at, like say 180, 188 or 189, somewhere around there is where he'd probably compete. There's not a lot of talent there though, so he might be pretty good in those weight classes. Him competing in the heavyweight division against like Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua or anybody else, no, he gets annihilated. I'm very surprised he signed this fight.
I was shocked he signed this fight. I
Yeah.
texted my buddy Bo because Bo follows boxing really well, and I texted him. I was like, dude, we might see a death. And he said the same thing. He's like, I cannot believe he agreed to that fight. But the numbers, the numbers that are, nobody knows the true payouts. They're saying it's around $200 million that they're splitting evenly. So they're getting about $100 million each. He said that it was $267 million. So I don't know who you believe or don't believe, or it could be they're splitting 200 and the 67 delta, they had to pay DAZN because Anthony Joshua has a contract with DAZN. And this fight's going to be on Netflix. DAZN.
It's DAZN.
So they, which makes, how the hell?
Please stop saying DAZN, okay? That's like Saint Benoit, okay?
Where's the O in DAZN?
That's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more exciting content. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you next time.